Get this country and the kids of this country back to school?
Well, Jonathan and Lisa, thank you so much for having me, and good morning. It is essential for kids to get back to school. My kids back in Iowa are about to get up, get ready, eat some breakfast, and get on the school bus today because our schools in Iowa are open, and Iowa's led the way on this. But unfortunately, about a third of students across the country are still only learning from behind screens. So we can get them back to school. The science shows that kids can be back to school safely. So we need to do that with $54 billion in money that's already been appropriated to go to get schools reopened. So that's why I filed the Reopen Schools Act. We need some accountability on this money to ensure that our teachers get back in the classroom, they get back safely, and that our kids get back. They're falling behind. There are mental health challenges that are just growing immensely. The number of emergency room visits for our young people are increasing, and that's troubling to me as a mom. So we have to get these schools reopened, and we can do it with the money that's already been appropriated and spent. And we just need to make sure that there's some accountability there so we do get these kids back in the classroom.
I sense from you it's not a resource issue. What do you think's holding us back?
Well, unfortunately, I think politics have been getting in the way here, and our kids shouldn't be a political football. And if we keep moving the goalposts here, we keep pushing back what that end result is. One day in a classroom is not enough for our kids, and it's not as easy as just walking down the stairs and logging onto a computer for so many families. I'm hearing from so many people, they had to go to sit in the library's parking lot to access the Wi-Fi to be able to complete their work. That's a reality for so many families, and it's not easy to do. And so, unfortunately, I think politics has gotten in the way. Democrats have actually blocked my bill 3 times already. So this shouldn't be a partisan issue. Getting our kids back to class shouldn't be a partisan issue. We need to be getting our next generation back where they belong, learning with a teacher in a classroom.
So are you willing to put your weight behind the $1.9 trillion stimulus, given the fact that within that is a good chunk of cash in order to get kids back to school? Because President Biden agrees with you. He says this is crucial. We just need to put the funding behind it.
Well, unfortunately, as the bill stands right now, I don't plan to support it. There's an additional $130 billion that is set to go to schools, but only 5% of that is set to be spent this year, which to me means that that's not really about getting kids back in the classroom. In fact, about 9% of the bill is designed as that targeted COVID relief, but only 9% is designed to get more vaccinations, shots in arms, the accountability there for contact tracing and testing. So when you look at everything else in this bill, only that is what's dedicated, and that small amount of education funding that's set to be spent this year, it's a signal to me that that's not really the priority here. And so that's why I'm trying to make sure that there is accountability here. We're talking about $1 trillion that's still left from that last package that was passed at the end of December before I was even in office that hasn't been spent yet. So when I look at that, we have to stand up for taxpayers, and we need to make sure that the people who are getting this money are following through on what the intent was, which was to be used to open schools and do it safely.
Congresswoman, a lot of people come on this show, economists, and they talk about how we can already see the money going into the economy directly that was passed back in December, that the aid that has been provided year to date or going back to last year helped revive the economy and turbocharge the recovery that will allow more people to get back to work. Given that more money, economists say, will help the economy move at a faster pace and get to a good speed quicker, what's the reluctance to go ahead with this? I mean, is it bigger debt loads? It's very unclear to a lot of people.
Yeah, well, I think there's a few elements in this package that, to me, are the poison pill. One of them being the $15 minimum wage mandate. That's still in the House version that's going to be passing through. And so to me, that's very clear that that's a priority. It shouldn't be in this bill. We should be having conversations about that in a separate entity, or a separate environment. But again, this whole process wasn't how process should move. It didn't make it through. We didn't get the chance in our budget committee to offer amendments to try to make this bill better. You talk about $350 billion bailouts to blue states. Congressional office said it was supposed to be $35 billion. That's what's actually needed. So to me, it's just this, it's an overspending. It's a spending package. It's not a targeted COVID relief bill.
Congresswoman, you've had experience with infrastructure spending in your home state. Given that this bill is likely to be passed, would you support an infrastructure bill in addition to the current fiscal support and fiscal stimulus that's been passed?
Well, I hope we do get to work on an infrastructure package, and that is something that's passion of mine back home. I understand infrastructure is economic development, and in the true Iowa fashion, the great Iowa line, if you build it, they will come. We know that in Iowa, infrastructure is a crucial part of our economy. We're an ag state, and we're a manufacturing state. We need to get those products to market, and we need to have the infrastructure to do it. I think infrastructure, though, also not just your roads and bridges, but broadband, we've seen be such an important issue in the last year. So that's something that I'm very passionate about and I want to work on for Iowans. So I'm hopeful we get to consider an infrastructure package, but unfortunately, this package, $1.9 trillion, it's not targeted COVID relief, which is what we should be considering here.
Ashley, wonderful to catch up. Please stay close. Come back soon. We'd love to